Hello everybody, my name is Yori Asanagi, otherwise known as TheDramaticOtaku, and welcome to the 2024 Yearly Otaku Review, the series where I go through my top 10s of anime and manga. Now, last couple of years it's had multiple hosts. This year it's just myself, Yori. So let's just jump right into it. If you don't know what the Yearly Otaku Review is, it is my top 10 of the manga and anime of 2024. I have read and watched a lot of good series this year, and going through my list of 2024, it's really hard to decipher which is really my favourite. Now, it will be no surprise that this year my anime list is going to be dominated by Ghibli movies, as for the beginning of 2024, I set myself the goal to watch every single Ghibli film for a review in February. And that heavy Ghibliness at the very start of the year led to a lack of anime in the end of the year. My goal for next year is definitely to watch more anime, but that being said, we should really dive into the tops for my 2024 anime list. Starting at number 10, The Wind Rises. I really wasn't that huge of a fan of The Wind Rises. It's a pretty good film. I like the audio design of it, but it really didn't stand out because number 9 is The Red Turtle. I like it artistically, conceptually, good film. But I enjoyed it more than The Wind Rises. But that's not saying a lot compared to last year's list. Then number 8 is from Up on Poppy Hill. I liked the story, but I just did not need the section where they potentially could have been siblings. Didn't need it, but I enjoyed it more than The Red Turtle and The Wind Rises. Number 7, this was actually disappointing for me, seeing who I'm dressed up as today. Whisper Me a Love Song. I was whelmed. As someone who's actually read the series, who watched the anime, and then got greatly disappointed with one of the, key chapters being cut out of the series, it gets the seventh position. And speaking of key things being cut out of anime, number 6 is Uzumaki. Stellar first episode. What the fuck happened to the rest of the series? But I actually literally can't praise the first episode enough, so it does get the number 6 position. Number 5 is Earwig and the Witch. This is going to be a very controversial pick, but I very much enjoyed Earwig and the Witch as compared to the first episode of Uzumaki. As compared to the entire series of Uzumaki. If it was just the first episode of Uzumaki, I reckon that would get probably the 4th position or something like that. But Uzumaki as a whole, I would say probably I enjoyed Earwig and the Witch as a movie more than I did Uzumaki. Controversial, I know. Position 4 for my anime list is Free Take Your Marks Part 1. Oh my gosh, the free films. They were a good part of this year, and watching them. I forgot I even watched them this year. I thought I watched them last year. And the first one was good. The second one was fantastic, but the first one was really good. And then you really get into it at the very end of the film. Because at the start of the film, it's just kind of recapping the entire series a little bit, just a little bit. So good. So that got the number 4 position. Number 3 was Mashal Season 1. I really enjoyed it. It was such a good laugh, especially when I was building my Scar cosplay, because I watched it in the English dub. So it was a bit of fun. I had a lot of fun watching it, and it was very silly goofy. So it made me laugh. I gave it the number 3 position. Number 2 is Free Take Your Marks Part 2. Now, I just said I loved the first movie for Free Take Your Marks. Love it. Amazing. Great film. Part 2. If you watch Free, you have to watch these 2 movies. And you have to watch the second one, because obviously the second one's conclusion to the series, but oh my god. Gay. That's probably my best recommendation for it. But genuinely, I had a lot of good fun watching second movie, so much so that I have a video essay topic in my head for it, but it's I'd have to watch the entire series all the way up to those movies for me to actually make that video essay, which I might make in 2025. You never know. Like how currently 2 of my top 5 is sports anime, the number 1 spot is also a sports anime. This being Haikyuu, the Haikyuu movie, Battle of the Garbage Dump. I love Kenma, I love Kuro, I love Nekoma. I have been waiting for this battle for so long. Oh my gosh, I was so happy to finally watch this film, and to watch it in cinema was amazing. I cannot wait for the next part. Loved it. It was, again, good laugh. There was some parts where I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? And for a bit, I did actually think Nekoma was going to win. Spoilers. But yeah, that is my top anime of the year. Very disappointing list. Now, all things considered, that list is pretty disappointing, but hopefully next year things can change. But the thing I was really focused on for this year was manga. Now, this is a much more extensive and thought out list. Romance and lesbians was the theme of this year, as I read at least 10 different Yuri series, or Yuri adjacent series. I read so much early 2000s romance. A lot. I want to say, I think 9 of 10 of these series are romance series. So let's just get into it with the one book that was not a romance series, The Cats of the Louvre. Now, you might be a bit surprised, as I didn't really give this one huge amounts of praise, but I really liked The Cats of the Louvre. I thought it was, like, really artsy. I do like a good artsy story every so often. Like, The Cats of the Louvre was just an interesting find, especially when looking for something, like, unique. Very, like, artsy, a little bit gory, to be quite honest, and it has cats, which is very cute. A little bit pretentious at times, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good story, so I gave it my number 10 position. Number 9 is Sakura Saku. This is a romance series that I started this year by my favorite romance mangaka, this being Io Sakisaka. I was highly disappointed by Love Me Love Me Not last year, so to have a series start this year that I am really invested in at the moment, and the last volume that I have read won't be until the next week wrap up that you actually see, where I talk about it, but the most recent volume of Sakura Saku has me fucked up. Like, this, all I can say is this is starting to border into romance and potential lesbian romance. This has me fucked up. As always with Io Sakisaka works, she always has me fucked up. And this series, originally I thought was, like, kind of frustrating. That is why it's in the 9th position. It has gotten up to volume 4, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So I am heavily invested. Obviously, as I get older, reading, like, teen romances gets progressively more boring because you've read more series that is practically exactly the same. This one has given me the butterflies because, again, it's a author that I loved when I was a teenager, and I'm still reading her works because nostalgia and memories. And so you have those moments where you're like, what are you doing to the character? She still, like, hits home with all of the points because I have such a strong renewed interest in this series because of volume 4. So it gets position 9. Speaking of romance series that I started reading in 2024 that I really didn't think I would continue reading, but have gotten deeply invested in, is Like a Butterfly. So I actually started this year. I completely didn't realize it was this year. I thought I started it last year. I was wrong. And I have bought 4 of 7 volumes that I've read, because I was like, I don't really need to continue reading this series. It's a little bit boring. But as soon as I saw it on the Viz Media app, I'm like, I'm going to continue reading this and see how I feel. And now I am incredibly invested. Will I continue actually collecting it? Not likely. But I'm incredibly invested in Like a Butterfly because it is cute. I think it was actually very hard to pick between Sakura Saku and Like a Butterfly in the 8th and 9th position. I chose Sakurasaku as 9th because it did piss me off a little more. And I'm more hesitant to like continue it because the characters do frustrate me. Like a Butterfly, I do still have that feeling. However, I have just read more of it and have just been more invested in the character growth of Kawasumi than I have been of characters in Sakurasaku at this point. So I genuinely liked Like a Butterfly more, and thus it got the 8th position. Very surprising, I know, but I just enjoyed it a lot, comparatively to Sakurasaku. And for a series that I really thought I wouldn't continue, it's been pretty good. Again, you have that thing where I'm getting a lot older, so teen shoujo romances is just like not what appeals to me too much, as in like stuff that's really, really fluffy and it's like coming of age stories. Not appealing to me as much anymore, like the newer ones, but still kind of invested because I am a sucker for a good teen romance. So, speaking of teen romance, we have number 7, Ultramaniac. What to say about Ultramaniac? It threw me through a fucking loop. The characters reminded me of myself and Mia, and so, like, just the chaos that ensues, I don't know, I felt very connected to the characters, and it was a bit of fun with a witch that doesn't really know how to be a witch, but is also like insanely powerful, falling in love, helping her friend fall in love. It's just all over the fucking place, and I love it. It's messy, it's early 2000s rom-com. I love it. It was really good. It's not like the top of top early 2000s romance, but between Ultramaniac, Skip Beat, Gabakawa, all of those early 2000s series that I watched, Ultramaniac is the one that I sort of went away with the most positive, like, feelings about. Like, I liked Imadoki, liked Skip Beat, liked, as I said, Gabakawa, but Ultramaniac was just the one that I had the most feel-good moments with. Yes, it had a, what's it called? It had like an epilogue that was a fake out, and I was gonna fight because of that fake out, but I liked it a lot, and I did enjoy it infinitely more than Like a Butterfly and Sakurasaku. I just think that the 2000s shoujo stuff is just more out there, so it's a little more fun. Speaking of fun, we start getting into the lesbian romance with number 6, I Don't Know Which Is Love. This series... This series, I've only read 1 volume, and I'm not doing the same thing that I did last year where I put a single volume of a series in my top 3. I Don't Know Which Is Love, a little bit controversial, but it's gay Yuri harem, so I am so far into that. I love that, and they're in college as well, so that makes me so unbelievably happy. So this is a series I laughed at, I giggled, I kicked my feet, it was so much fun. So I Don't Know Which Is Love is absolutely a series I'm continuing in 2025. It is just one of those series where I'm like, yes, this I need to continue. This was so unbelievably funny. And it's good to have a laugh at some gay shit sometimes. Next is the number 5 position with Wotakoi. The entire series of Wotakoi, which I smashed out, I believe, in February. I really liked the series. It was really good to just like binge in one session. Getting into it initially was a little bit difficult and confusing because you had chapters that span over the entire book, and then is like... you're flipping between full chapters and then quarter chapters and then full chapter and then quarter chapter. So that is why it's like so low. But I genuinely enjoyed it. I do think the ending was a little bit flat in terms of like the connection between our protagonists. But I really, really loved the green-haired girl and her boyfriend. I loved them so much. They were probably my highlight of Wotakoi, and I love like all the otaku elements of it. Obviously it's Wotakoi, love is hard for an otaku. Being the dramatic otaku, I really liked all of it, so I thought it was fun. Put it in number 5 position. I really didn't think I should put like I Don't Know Which Is Love above it because like that's recency bias, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Speaking speaking of stuff I had a lot of fun with that I definitely don't have recency bias to, is Whisper Me a Love Song in the number 4 position. I cannot wait for the next volume to come out in English of Whisper Me a Love Song. I am so unbelievably excited. I don't know how long I have to wait until that comes out, because I haven't checked it in a while, but Whisper Me a Love Song is just one of those series where I have connected to it. I love it. I've cosplayed it. I'm absolutely enamored with the series, and I've only read about 2 or 3 volumes in 2024, but like last year, it's been one of my favorites. It's just a series that I recommend to everyone. It's cute, it's band romance, band drama, Yuri, love it, it's such a good series. Annoyingly, the anime was just a big letdown as compared to the manga. Speaking of lesbians, we have The Moon on a Rainy Night. I put this in my top 10 last year because of the first volume. I've now read up to the 3rd volume and have the 5th volume but need the 4th volume. I love this series. It is such a good series. Like, genuinely, it's really fun. The characters are just like so good. If I compare it to Whisper Me a Love Song, I would say it's more interesting at the moment, but that is because Whisper Me a Love Song is a longer series. But The Moon on a Rainy Night is just cute. The characters are so pretty. The, concept is also really interesting. They both also include music. It's just The Moon on the Rainy Night is something that I have read more of, something that I have been more engaged in the latter half of the year as compared to Whisper Me a Love Song, as I am, again, waiting on those new volumes of Whisper Me a Love Song to be released in English, and I have another lesbian series that I have been obsessing over recently, so that's probably going to be the start of next year for me. But The Moon on a Rainy Night, really love. Again, I think it's just that recency bias. It's really hard picking between Whisper Me a Love Song, which is a series that I've been reading for the last 2 years, as compared to The Moon on a Rainy Night, which I've only really picked up at the end of last year and throughout this year as well. But moving forward, we have my number 2 position, which is a series that I started obsessing over this year. Originally, when it came to Aizawa, I was going to read Nana, get all of the Nana books, but I've had to put that on hold because of this series, this being Neighborhood Story. Neighborhood Story is such a good series. Originally I'd only known of the anime. I haven't watched the anime, and I will go on to watch the anime, but I never thought I would enjoy this series as much as I did or do currently. I love Ayazawa because she's very, very into fashion and not even just high fashion, stuff like that. She's into street fashion, all of that. Very similarly to Naoko Takeuchi with Sailor Moon. I really love them for similar reasons, but Ayazawa is way more into that fashion element in her works. You see it in Nana, you see it in Paradise Kiss, you see it in Neighborhood Story, and especially in Neighborhood Story, because Mikako wants to be a fashion designer. Now, annoyingly, I did also get Paradise Kiss this year, but I really quickly realized it is a sequel to Neighborhood Story, and Neighborhood Story actually has characters from a different Ayazawa series that feature in it, in small segments, but Paradise Kiss is a spiritual successor to Neighborhood Story, so I need to get the last omnibus volume before I start reading Paradise Kiss. And it's just one of those stories where I've been so unbelievably invested in it that I wanted every single one of the volumes, but I can only get that if I get old copies of it, and it's no, I'm just gonna get the new volumes of it because that's what I've been collecting. So I have to wait until mid-January to get the last volume, which I'm so excited for, and then I can actually read Paradise Kiss. So Neighborhood Story has just had a chokehold on me this year, and I cannot wait to see how the story ends. I'm on the edge of my seat because they've just gotten to the school festival, and I'm just I want to see my girl Mikako thrive, absolutely thrive Unfortunately, one of my girls for this year did not thrive, this being Oscar de Jage from The Rose of Versailles. So Mia put me on this series, and oh my gosh, was that like the best recommendation I have ever fucking got. I absolutely adore The Rose of Versailles. I had already read Claudine, which is by the same author, and I'd really liked that book, so The Rose of Versailles was like the natural next step. It is such a good series. I love it so much. Like, I did a whole video essay on The Rose of Versailles and comparing it to Lady Oscar, the live action movie. And next year we do have a Rose of Versailles anime coming out, which I'm so excited for. And like, you don't know how much I have obsessed over The Rose of Versailles this year, particularly in the first half of the year when I got hold of the first volume by trading my love mix-up for The Rose of Versailles with Mia. Mia, give me back my books, I swear to God. Read it! I've enjoyed The Rose of Versailles genuinely so much that I actually went out of my way to buy these books, and they are like, they're hardcovers, so they're easily $60 each. So you know how much I love this series if I went out of my way to collect, 5 volumes of hardcover novels at $60 each, and made those my top priority instead of every other series that I've been collecting. So, of literally the two easiest, series on this list for me to pick out as my top 10 was The Rose of Versailles and Neighborhood Story, just because of how much I have praised them this year, how much I've read them this year, and just how, obsessed I've been with them this year. Last year, it was a lot of Whisper Me the Love Song, and I planned out Yori immediately because I really love, again, Yori. Moon on a Rainy Night is something I was obsessing over by the end of last year. Neighborhood Story and The Rose of Versailles have solely been encapsulated in 2024, and they're series that I'm going to go back and reread, absolutely, but series that I'm also just, wanting to watch the anime for, watch more media for, consume more media of The Rose of Versailles, just because they're just that good. They're that good. They're good stories. They're dramatic, so unbelievably dramatic, and I love dramatic shit. So, those are the top of tops for 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because this is a lot more scuffed than my last couple of yearly otaku reviews. It's not as scuffed as my mic setup last year, but certainly scuffed to say the least. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What did you guys think of my top of tops of 2024, especially the anime side? I really need to watch more anime. That will be my goal for 2024, but watch me burn out after the first 2 months. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow for one of the last days of Upload Every Day December. Bye!